Welcome, new Gen Lume members. I am happy you are joining our global community of lifelong learners. I'm Susanne Cook-Reuter, an elder in this community with 40 plus years of experience in ego development theory and its application. We invite you into a space where we support each other in exploring and surfing our personal and communal edges. That means we are paying attention to body, mind, heart, spirit, as well as how we engage in our various professional roles. At GEN, we share our expertise, experience, and resources. To thrive here, it helps to be courageous, resilient, and curious. Better yet, if you can also laugh at your own vulnerabilities and our shared human folly, because we're all in this together. In German we say, geteiltes Leid ist halbes Leid, geteilte Freude ist doppelte Freude. That means in English, shared sorrow is half the sorrow, shared joy is double joy. The fabled Gen gatherings are especially wonderful. I can assure you that those I attended in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and in Wellington, New Zealand, were delightful, informative, and a bonding experience with other explorers of adult development. Now that you are a member, do make use of all the opportunities to learn, to teach, and to share with fellow Jenners and Lumers. Blessings, Suzanne.
Hi, my name's Caroline and I am in the UK. I have been a member of the Growth Edge Network, now Lume, for about 5 years and on the board for 3 years. What attracted me to adult development theory is I saw a video, must be about 8 years around that, about ADT, and it felt like a theory of hope, of growth, of getting older and still being able to learn. And yeah, I love that sense. So I joined the organization, and what's kept me in, I guess, are such an amazing group of people, people who are curious about ideas, want to play with ideas, and also people who are kind as well, and who have expertise in so many different areas. So yeah, that's why I love ADT and I love Lume. So Lume is an organization, Keith. It was launched by its founders, Jennifer, Carolyn, and Keith. And what held it together was it had a gathering in person every 18 months and also monthly calls. So since 2019, we haven't had an in-person gathering. So it's been quite a long time. So I'm really looking forward to the gathering in October in Lisbon. They set it up as a watering hole for people who are interested in adult development theory, who want to come together and play with ideas and not necessarily have answers. So for people who want to support the growth of other people. And there's always been that sense of it being a place where people can come and learn and play together and then go back out in the world. So Lume, all the way through its history, has been a place where people can come together, be curious, and to grow and develop, find their edge and develop beyond it.
Hey, my name is Yan Chen. I'm originally from Beijing, China, currently living in San Francisco with my partner and 2 cats. I did my master's in integral psychology in San Francisco and then went to New York, became a human resources manager, got into leadership development. I met Jennifer in 2018 in Shanghai. That's how I officially are interested in adult development theory. But what attracts me to this community is not theory, but people. people here are just so interesting and different. How should I describe this difference? It's hard for me to put into words. Just the way people here talk to each other, the way they share their perspectives, inspirations, and curiosity, just so different from all the other communities I've ever experienced or engaged with. And this word the difference exactly as words what I hear from different people I met here. Just an interesting community. That's why I decided to join this community also to give it back. Right now, I organize monthly Lume calls and also organize community calls. I'm so happy Julia is putting this together to invite new members to join us. I would love to see more people from different parts of the world to join us, build a diverse, inspirational, and interesting community together.
Hi, I'm Denise McLennan. Like a lot of you probably, I have been dabbling around with adult development theory for years and years. Many of those years, I thought I was sort of on my own. I knew a few people here and there in the world who were interested and would geek out with me, but mostly I tried not to be obnoxious at dinner parties, talking about all this interesting stuff that I was integrating into my work as a coach and as an organizational development professional. But about 6 years ago, I think I was introduced to Jennifer's work, and it took me deeper into the Keegan work that I had been doing and just opened up the world to me. And when Jennifer invited me to be part of what was then the Jen Network, it was a little bit of a life changer for me. Found my people, and I found myself both connecting to people deep in actual relationship, finding people that I could experiment with and do work projects with, and actually creating deep friendships. Of course, lots of learning along the way. It's been an incredible component of my professional journey and integrating adult development theory into the things that I do. 4 years ago, when we all gathered in Baltimore, that was another pivoting point for me, as I was able to meet my people in person, and actually met someone that I started a professional project with that we're still working on today. And that gathering was really kind of a pivotal point for me in being able to do this work. So I'm so excited to be the chair of this year's gathering committee. We are gathering in person for the first time in 4 years, and we have found a location in Europe. We're going to be meeting in Lisbon the last weekend of October, October 26 to 28. As you know, our new name is the Lume Network, and by pure coincidence, we found a hotel called the Lumen Hotel. And this is a real inflection point for our organization. At this point, our founders are starting to shift in their role in the organization. New leadership is rising up. Our membership is diversifying. And the work that we're doing in the world is becoming more and more important all of the time. This gathering is going to be an important time for us to gather, to talk, to learn, to connect, and probably, I think, most importantly, to dream and imagine who and what we might be able to be in the world in the future. So I hope that you might consider joining us in Lisbon at the end of October. If you'd like to connect with those of us who are dreaming and planning around what this event could be, I invite you to reach out to me and let me know. I'd love to have you with us. Looking forward to seeing you then.
Hello, welcome to Lume. I imagine that you are new and looking for a few words to help you orient to the community. My name is Narayan, and I've been with Lume back when it was known as the Growth Edge Network since January 2020. And I've been on the board for, I think, about 2 years now. Part of what I'm known for is I do community network mapping. And so I may share a network map of the community that's a couple years old. Sometimes we refresh it ahead of a gathering, but I don't think it's been refreshed for a while. But this should offer you a bit of a bird's eye view of at least a semi-recent snapshot of the community. You can see each dot is one of the members. I think we probably have, at this point, somewhere around 250 members, plus or minus 50. And so this is one cool way of seeing everyone. And of course, if I mouse over on a person, I can see the number of people they're connected to and some other information. Just looking at the different regions of which we're a part, it looks like most of the members are connected to North America, some in the Middle East. There's a whole bunch in West Europe, fewer in East Europe, some in East Asia, and also a whole bunch in Oceania and the Pacific Islands. And I believe that we're hoping to connect with more folks in different communities. So that's an active inquiry. The membership, in terms of the kind of work that we do, works a lot with education, not-for-profits, large businesses, for-profits. They do research, academia, a whole bunch of different things. And many people actually do a lot of work with multiple of these. You can see a little bit on the outside is research, might be a bit of more of a edge case, and academia as well. And there's fewer members that are working internal to companies. But yeah, many people would consider themselves to be working within the field of organizational development and or coaching. In terms of adult development frameworks, the community started really anchored around the work of Suzanne Cook-Reuter, Bill Torbert, and Jennifer Garvey-Berger. So if I look at what kinds of theories seem to be quite popular, most members are familiar with Keegan's stages of adult development, Torbert's action logics, and Suzanne's stages of ego development. Although there are also a lot of people familiar with integral theory, Graves' value models, and more on the edges of the community would be like the model of hierarchical complexity, spiral dynamics, Hanzi's metamodern framework, and some other things that I didn't know about, but definitely other. And I've also recently asked a question around what brings you to the community. And there seemed a lot of people who are interested in the annual gathering where we meet virtually or in person. The calls, the monthly inquiry calls and the other calls that we have to join each other in discussion. There's also unstructured conversation space. We've got the forum that some people are actually quite active on, a great place for starting conversations. And there are a lot of different collaborations of projects which may not be as visible to a new member, but behind the scenes, many members do connect on something, maybe during a call or during a gathering, reach out to each other offline on LinkedIn or whatever, and actually are working together on various things. And that is less visible. Sometimes those end up looking like member-led initiatives and groups, which are visible to the community, but not always. And so, of course, even though we're connected by all of these different activities and regions and different models that we're curious about, the real value in this community is just the friendships, I think. So we've asked members to reveal how they knew each other, all the way from acquaintances, or I've just had a generative interaction with you, all the way through to collaborators and thought partners. So just looking at thought partners alone, these are members who've basically said, I'm connected to this person and we think deeply about things. Like, I really value their perspective. And there are so many connections. And this is, of course, just the data that members have already shared with this. So it doesn't include all members, but there are cores of thought partners. Adding in collaborators, you can see even more relationships, and it's actually quite dense. A single member, if I highlight them, you can see so much more of the network of connections that they share. And then of course, if I add in generative interactions and acquaintances and who's aware of whose work, you just see this incredibly densely connected community. And I think for me, that's part of what makes this community so special. And as you join, as you're new, it may not be that visible, but how do you find yourself in this connection? How do you reach out to one another? How do you get curious about the work that somebody's doing? And what is the potential of this community, this dense network? If I think about this as a complex system, I wonder, with this many relationships, what are the emergent phenomena that we might start to see? Yeah, and so that's part of the curiosity that I bring to this community, and I am actively looking for others who are interested in that. I'm going to pause and just say thanks for sticking with me so far. And I may also just add in one other piece. I'm not sure how much time I have to share, but there is this other network map that I can just sort of zoom in on, out on, which is this larger context of this community. So if I look at Lume, this is just my personal network map. And I try to draw connections between different movements. And so I've got this network map, or this Lume, formerly known as GEN, which is connected to adult development theory. And I've got some thinkers that I've been tracking. And I can look at all of the different other organizations that they're connected to, the different organizations like Adeption, Pacific Integral, Teach for All, Aephoria. There's so many different groups that are just one degree of separation away from this community. And each of those is connected to more people with more movements, more organizations. And I believe each one of these groups has some part of the puzzle for what we need to be doing as humanity. And so as I keep expanding outward, this is just the parts of the network that I'm tracking, like who's working in global systems change, who's working in the field of education, who's studying the very process of learning or complexity theory. Zooming out again, the map gets bigger and it's interconnected. And so for me, there's this contextualization of this Lume community as holding something very powerful in the world, a shared set of language and tools that are not shared equally amongst all of these other different groups and networks, and yet connected to them. And each new person who joins the network is a bridge to other communities, is a bridge to new ideas that can both come into the community and to bring the ideas and the conversation from within the community out into other parts of the world. And as we strengthen these connections, as we deepen friendships, I love the unlikely friendships that never would have happened. Those are the unique bridges that create really unique possibilities in the world. That's my that's my excitement. I'll pause my sharing there and just say I actually have an open invitation to anyone in the network who is interested in going deeper into these maps, both looking at this community, looking at the larger context of which this community is a part, and of course, just getting to know people and forming those unlikely or likely friendships and collaborations. So cheers, and I hope to see you at one of the monthly calls.